Reporters getting a chance to take some questions to the president there at the White House. Let's bring in our White House correspondent, Mary Alice Parks, who is also listening closely. Talked about a number of things, but really, Mary Alice, the headline there when talking about the tariffs right now and how we've been talking about the price increases on cars and car parts in the past few days. We've been watching the markets there. They're down as the tariff discussion continues. And now the president's saying, when our Rachel Scott asked him a question about those tariffs, he said, well, don't rush to buy a car right now.
She asked a really plain question, Kira. She said, should Americans buy a car right now before some of this trade tit for tat escalates even further? We heard the Canadians put out that statement today saying that they were planning on issuing their own retaliatory tariffs in the next few months if President Trump makes good on these continued threats to put tariffs in place. Of course, we heard him there talk about a wide range of plans that he has around putting tariffs in place for car parts and cars built outside this country coming into this country. And so, of course, consumers are anxious about what that's going to do to the price of new cars. We've heard car manufacturers, of course, anxious about this as well. He sort of brushed off the question. He brushed off the impacts on the markets. He sort of bragged about other foreign investment and domestic investment that he says is coming to this country and solidifying in this country. But it is a real question. And we've been talking the last few weeks about consumers saying in more and more surveys that they are less sure about the state of the economy, consumer confidence being sort of evidence that it's shaken a little bit, and that could have a real ripple effect and could be part of what we are seeing reflected in the market. I also thought, Kira, more headlines around Greenland. I mean, this isn't necessarily new language from the president, but wow, it is powerful today of all days when the vice president is there on the ground in Greenland to hear the president of the United States use language like, we need Greenland, we must have it. This isn't an option. We need it for world peace. You can imagine how those words must be landing there in Greenland. Of course, people on the ground have told us, have told other reporters that they are not interested in the United States taking over their country, are very concerned about what Vance's visit means to them. Of course, we heard a language saying that from Greenland saying that they thought this visit from the vice president was aggressive. So really interesting to listen to the president use that kind of language when his vice president is there on the ground.
Yeah, and actually we've been trying to get in touch with our Terry Moran, who is there on the ground in Greenland, Mary Alice, but it's very hard to get a live signal out of Greenland. And also J.D. Vance apparently talking to the troops there on the space base. As we know, his itinerary, his plans changed when he was pretty much getting an icy greeting, so to speak, from Greenlanders there who are not happy about the fact that he and his wife are visiting. So while we wait to try and hopefully get a live signal and hear what the vice president has to say, and also with our Terry Moran, who's there covering this trip, the president did say that he would go as far as he needed to go. That's the quote, to get his hands on Greenland. So there have been folks out there saying, hey, look, is he threatening a military invasion? What do you think the reality of that is?
It's hard to imagine. This is a president who's also talked about wanting to reduce the U.S. military footprint abroad, bring troops home. But he's been asked if he's ruling anything out, and he has not ruled anything out. So, of course, we've heard from Denmark. We've heard from folks in Greenland themselves the real concern that is he even talking about the possibility of a military attempt, use of force attempt to take Greenland. He was talking about it also in terms of war and peace. You heard him there today saying that he thinks that they have evidence that there are warships, continued warships from the Chinese, from Russia around the area. Of course, the melting of sea ice there in the Arctic has made more shipping lanes, more economic shipping lanes available around Greenland as well. But yes, also more military presence from some adversaries. And so you heard the president say he believes for the good of world peace, the United States should have military control of that area. So real questions about whether he is actually threatening troop or military engagement to try, I don't know, finish the end of that hypothetical, Kira, try a military takeover of this land. It's hard to imagine where that ends. but he's definitely not closing the door with his language, and the world is taking notice. I think that is very apparent from the recent comments from Denmark, which of course has sort of ultimate sovereign sort of relationship and ownership over Greenland, as well as those in Greenland who have been frankly pushing for full independence in the last few years.
All right, Mary Alice Parks, thank you so much.